Welcome to AkronBuzz, everyone. I'm your host, Sarah, and today I get to talk with Aimee Neiman. How are you, Aimee?
Hi, Sarah. I'm good. How are you?
I am good, and Aimee is a realtor here in Northeast Ohio. She lives in Fairlawn, but serves all of Northeast Ohio, Canton, Cleveland, all of these areas, Youngstown. So go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into realty.
Sure. So I have a background of sales and customer service. I was a manager in retail for pretty much all of my adult life. And then towards the end of my retail career, I started to get some health issues. I was diagnosed with a few autoimmune diseases, and ultimately my doctor had said, hey, you need something that has a more flexible schedule, and you need something where you're not going to constantly be on your feet and be doing physical labor. So I had some time off, and I had eventually settled on real estate. I do have a family history in it, so that did push me.
Yeah, I want to hear a little bit more about that. You actually shared with me that your grandfather, and is it your father also that's
and
involved?
Uncle, yeah, all three of them.
Okay, are all involved in realty. But tell me a little bit about your grandfather.
Sure. So he is 92 years old, and he got his real estate license when he was in his early 20s. And by the time he was in his later 20s, he ended up getting his law license. And having that background as a realtor, he gravitated towards real estate law. And he opened his own private practice right away. And he, in the like 50s, 60s, 70s, somewhere mid 1900s, he was the real estate attorney in Akron, very prominent. His name is Aimee Neiman.
I love that. I love that story. And I love you shared with me that just how much times have changed. Like he used to pull around a wagon.
Yes, so he'd pull around a wagon, and he would get all of his listings through knocking on people's doors and, you know, giving out his promotional things, saying, hey, I can sell your house for this much. And it's totally different because I get my listings either through word of mouth or social media advertising. It's
I know.
Totally different.
I know.
Times.
And if we showed up at people's houses like that with a wagon, people would be like, what are you doing?
End up on neighborhood apps. Who's this on my Ring doorbell?
Right.
You know, so times have changed.
Absolutely. So talk to me a little bit about that, how you market through social media. You said TikTok is actually really big for you.
So it's funny because when TikTok first came out, I looked at it, I thought, this is so stupid. I hate this.
What am I doing?
What am I doing? But then I started to see some realtors do it, and I thought, you know what? If I can use this to help my business, then let's try it.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I did, and it took me a little bit to take off. My first couple of videos, I look at them sort of cringe, weren't very good. But you know, it's all about,
go for it.
Well, you got to go for it. And it's so much of it is about algorithms too, like what hashtags you use is important. You know, you always need to make sure you're adding value, because I started by only doing real estate humor, which was great, but that's not going to get me business. It might get me some attention on there. So you have a mixture of stuff between adding value, you know, giving tips about real estate mixed with the humor. And I have gotten some business directly from TikTok from people local, but I have gotten a big influx of referral business. So that's a great way for passive income. So realtors, or not realtors, I'm sorry, potential clients in other states will comment or message me on my videos, and I will connect them with the realtor in my referral network. And so it is something that I do end up getting a little bit of money for. So
that's
it's
fantastic.
awesome. It's a good, you know, love social media for advertising.
For sure, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about the market, because everybody's kind of talking about it, especially people who are buying or selling right now. So it is a seller's market. You mentioned to me that it will be for a little while.
Yes.
So if someone does want to sell right now, what kind of tips, what kind of things are you trying to get across to them?
So the biggest piece of advice I could give for sellers are, yes, it is a seller's market, but that does not mean you should forgo the typical things to prepare your home.
Sure.
Because you're still going to get the most money, the more offers, if you have it correctly. So first and foremost, if it's vacant, maybe staging the home. That can help draw in buyers. Depersonalizing the home. So if you have any sort of, you know, family pictures, any momentums like that, and it's one of the worst things to tell people, you know, hey, take your pictures down.
Take all your pictures
but
down.
Realistically,
that makes sense,
it can be hard for a buyer to visualize themselves in that house if they're only seeing someone else in it, you know? And then
absolutely.
Decluttering is important. So just because it's a seller's market, you still have to do all this stuff.
And then what about for a buyer, someone who really needs a house, but they know that it's kind of going to be a struggle right now?
So most importantly for a buyer is make sure you have a buyer's agent that obviously is working in your best interest. Maybe interview several agents to make sure that they're a right fit for you. You're going to need an agent who's obviously available to show you these houses as as they come on the market, because they go so quickly.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
The biggest thing is making your offer stand out among others. Now, for me as a realtor, that's communication. I've gotten several offers taken that I've written because the listing agent has said, Aimee, your communication is there when the other realtors aren't, and that sort of sets up the seller to know how this transaction is going to go if the people on the other side are cooperative. But as for writing the offers itself, people are doing unconventional things now to get the houses. So some of the stuff we see are waiving home inspections or doing something realtors call appraisal gap coverage. So that means that if the house does not appraise, then the buyer will make up that difference in cash.
Oh,
and
wow.
sometimes it goes up to a certain amount that they'll cap it, and sometimes it doesn't. But that's something, there's pros and cons about it, just like everything. But there's a lot of things they're doing now, offering over asking price, giving sellers free rent back. So that would be if they'll give the seller time to stay in the house after the title transfers to the buyer's name.
Okay.
And so then, the buyer is still paying the mortgage, seller is living there. Usually they'll do, I don't know, I've seen up to 6 months, but usually it's 1 to 3 months. But that's
makes
something,
sense, yeah.
but it's something that they're doing because
something extra because they want that house.
Well, not only that, but the sellers often are buying too. And if they're having a hard time finding a house, that gives them reassurance that they have extra time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But some of the times you just have to be creative, find out what's the best interest find out what the needs are of that seller. So when I represent a buyer, I'll call the listing agent and say, hey, what is the most important thing in an offer to the seller? Sometimes it's price. That's obviously important, but sometimes that's the most important. Sometimes it's terms.
Yeah.
They need to know how, it's a certain close date, a certain contingency.
That's super interesting because I wouldn't have thought about actually thinking about like the needs of the person that's already living there, and I'm sure that's very necessary, like to stand out in the market.
Absolutely, and it all goes back to communication, is making sure that your agent is communicating with the listing agent. I had a house just a couple weeks ago go under contract. We were not the highest. We were about 5,000 under the highest, but the reason they took ours was because we were able to meet terms that the other buyer was not able to.
Okay.
So it's not always price. Of course,
great.
It's important, but there's so much more to it.
Well, thank you so much, Aimee. I feel like I learned a lot about
Thank you.
the market right now. I feel like people will enjoy this interview as well. But if they want to contact you, if they need a realtor, how can they contact you?
Best way would be to call or text me. My cell phone is 330-620-1123.
Perfect.
I'm also on Facebook. My Facebook name is Aimee Neiman, and my business Facebook page is Aimee Neiman Keller Williams Shervenick Realty, who is my brokerage. And the link for that is facebook.com-amy.sells.houses. I'm also on TikTok if you guys want to see any of my
get some tips.
Yeah, get some tips, some humor.
Yeah.
My TikTok is at Aimee, AIMEE, the NE, Ohio Realtor.
Nice. Well, thank you so much. I'm really impressed that you remembered all of
Thank
those.
you.
All right. And thank you guys so much for being here with me on AkronBuzz. We had a great time. We hope that you'll follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out our Roku channel. We'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.